Hey, this is Kyle at Projection Hub, and today I'm going to be showing you how to write a business plan if you plan to open up a gas station. Now, this video is not going to be, I'm not going to write an entire business plan here on video for you. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go through an example business plan. This document, this template is available for free down in the description below for you to follow along or to use for your own purposes. And the main purpose of this video is I'm going to focus on 5 key points that if you focus on, can really improve your business plan. So especially if you're trying to get financing for your gas station, these 5 areas can, kind of make or break or really make the difference when it comes to a funder's perspective. So who is Projection Hub? Why should you listen to us when it comes to content like this? We've helped more than 50,000 small businesses, entrepreneurs, startups create financial projections, which are a big component of business plans. And me personally, before my time with Projection Hub, I actually was an SBA lender for about 7 years. And so that consisted of reviewing many business plans, helping business owners put together loan applications. And so just experience reviewing business plans and trying to make them better for loan applications. So if at any point you like this video, hit that thumbs up sign. That really helps us as a fellow small business. And if you want to leave a comment, let us know if you have questions or what parts of the video you really appreciated. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see additional content just about starting, growing, managing a business. That's what we try to do here. So without further ado, we will go ahead and jump in. So why is it necessary to have a business plan? So, we're always constantly told, we got to have a business plan. Where's your business plan? Especially if funding is involved. And now what your business plan doesn't need to be is, like an education tool. You don't need to teach the reader about what a gas station is, what a gas station does, the industry as a whole. That's not really the purpose of the business plan. It is a demonstration of your specific plan of how you're going to go from nothing to successful, especially if it's trying to convince a lender to, let go with some of their money and that they feel confidence in seeing that money return with interest. And so that's what we want to make sure the plan does. And as I start to scroll through here, again, I'm going to go through the whole structure, and then in those 5 key areas, we'll stop and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But right off the bat, you can notice here in this table of contents, 1, what's actually included in the business plan. And 2, it's really not that long. And a common misconception about business plans is that people think that their business plan has to be really long. And I think actually the opposite is true. And if your business plan is stripped down and just focused on the most important key details, your lender is more likely to see those and not get lost in all the fluff of the extra stuff that maybe you added in there to fill it out. And so you'll also see that your financial projections are going to be almost half of your business plan. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So if you need to write a really long business plan to just feel like you've covered all your bases and you've got the plan, down in your head, then definitely do that. But the version you deliver to a lender should be a refined, trimmed back version that just focuses on the key points. So first up, we got our executive summary. Think about this like the cover letter of a resume for a job description or a job application. And you're just kind of gonna hit the details, the important details. In some business plans, I've seen people incorporate like some financial highlights in their executive summaries. So that could include like your startup costs, if you already have some funding secured, how much funding are you going to need when you assume maybe you're going to break even, that kind of thing could go in your executive summary. You don't have to, but kind of continuing on here, your company description is really just an extension of that first section. So here you're going to see your company history, who's involved with it, the legal structure, just some of those details. So continuing to move ahead here, market analysis, and this is going to bring us to where we're going to have our first key point. And here we're just trying to demonstrate that there is room in the market to support another gas station, another version of a business in this industry. We want to be able to demonstrate that it can support that. And so what I don't want you to do in this section is kind of the Shark Tank joke, where our industry is $20 trillion. Like it's far too large to really impact what we're talking about here today. So we really want to zoom in on the market that can actually impact the performance of your gas station specifically. So we want to talk about the local. So in our example here, we're talking about Indianapolis, which if I'm being honest, that's even probably too big of a scope. We should probably zoom in on, a suburb, a town, a smaller subset of Indianapolis to focus on competitors and, all of the stuff that goes into that. So that's something to keep in mind. But what I wanted to point out in the key point was if we can give some tangible example of research that we've done to establish that there is demand and there is room in the market, or inversely, if we think it's pretty competitive, then we need to be prepared to explain well, it is a tight market, but we do think we can capture some of that still. That's what this section needs to do. And so, it's very common for especially gas stations, especially if it's a large company, they are going to do really intense market research studies and all of the stuff that goes into that. Now, if you're trying to be an independent gas station owner or, a smaller version of that, then maybe that's not quite in the budget, but there are still some free ways you can go about doing it. And just to give you one quick example, there are tools like Google, if you create a Google Ads account, it's free. You can use their Google Keyword Planner tool. And what I like to do is basically put in things I think people like my target customer would be searching for and where they're located. They're in Indianapolis. Now, again, I gave the example of if I can get a smaller subset of that, or maybe like a suburb around Indianapolis where I'm going to locate my gas station, that might be more, accurate, more kind of dialed in. And there's a few things that I want to look at here. One, I can see what kind of related keywords are people searching for. So if they're, here in Indianapolis market, you can see people are actually searching for specific brands of gas stations, Speedway, Love's, Shell. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But what's more important to me is the trend data. So I can see here, and I've selected a few of them, gas station near me, gas near me, any gas stations nearby. Those are growing. So year over year, they've grown, and how often those are being searched for in this community. Now, this doesn't take into account if, how many new gas stations there are. Maybe that demand is still being met, but this does at least give me the indication that it's not decreasing. I'm not pursuing opening a gas station in an area where the trend is going the wrong direction. And so that is a promising thing to begin with. So even just including a screenshot of this, some description of this in your business plan is better than doing nothing at all, right? The mentality we want to avoid is I'm going to build it and people will come. And so that is an example, free market analysis that you can incorporate in your business plan. So let's keep moving along. Marketing and sales strategy. Now, key point number 2 will be in this section, but we'll just highlight this real quick. Your product, your offerings, obviously you're probably going to have fuel. What types of fuel are you going to offer? You're also going to have a convenience store. Are you going to sell, tobacco products, like whatever you want to include, put that in there. Are you going to have a pricing strategy? Now, something about, gas stations is a lot of the pricing is standardized. So whether that's tobacco products or gas prices, like there are limits around what can be charged for that. And so a lot of what you're including here is probably just going to be within your state's, mandated standards or ranges. But, this is still like a minimum requirement. You want to have stuff that's in here. Like what you see in here, you should have it replicated and specific to your case. But the key point that I like to point out in this section is called customer acquisition demonstration. So in the previous section, we went an extra step to demonstrate that there is in fact room in the market for us. Now we need to take an extra step, if we can, to demonstrate how we're actually going to capture some of that market for ourselves. Now, for a gas station industry or the gas station, it's a little bit trickier to demonstrate this before launch. So what I like to talk about here is called traction, which is a common search or buzzword in like the tech space, because if you can demonstrate, like in the tech space, for example, if you can demonstrate that you have users or customers or people who have signed up before like an official launch or before you fundraised, that is really promising to someone like a lender or an investor, because you're demonstrating like, wow, you already have traction, you already have momentum going in the right direction. So, but for a gas station, it's a little bit trickier because like you can't, moonlight selling gasoline on the side of the road to build an initial customer base. So a lot of what you're going to do is going to have to probably be post-launch. Like here you see some examples of planning a grand opening promotion, collaborating with local businesses to provide loyalty programs. Like those are good ideas. If I could maybe come up with one example off the cuff, might be, if you went around and surveyed local residents about are they happy with their options, and if you did open up a gas station, what would they like to see? Would they plan to buy gas there? That kind of thing. But again, gas stations are probably in a little bit of their own arena when it comes to this topic, because it's like a need, it's a necessity. So if people need gas and they see a gas station, they're probably going to buy gas. So what's more important in this type of business plan is probably to establish the market opportunity than it is to demonstrate your traction. So still included it in here because for pretty much every other industry other than a gas station, this is a really big opportunity to make your business plan shine. In a gas station, maybe a little bit harder to do that, but still you can get creative with especially some launch ideas or post-launch ideas. All All right, moving along. In our operations and management, so here we're going to get into more of like the logistics of actually operating the gas station. So you'll highlight how you're going to handle your fuel supply, maintenance. You talk about your team members here. And the main takeaway that I want to make sure that gets included in this section is highlighting your relevant industry experience. So if that's the owner or partner or a key employee, you want to make sure you demonstrate that your team has the experience and the know-how to, one, actually know what you're getting yourself into, and two, know what you're doing whenever you get into it. And so someone, this is probably an example of an industry. If someone has no experience in retail or a convenience store or, the oil industry just in general, or, all of these different components, probably not a great industry to get involved with if you don't know what you're doing, and probably not going to land the funding you would need to. So make sure you highlight what experience you have to justify, starting your own gas station, and include that here. Your lenders will appreciate that. All right, now the big section, your financial plan and financial projections. So again, Projection Hub, we're a little biased, but we do think that this is the most important part of your business plan. And I can even attest to whenever I was a lender, we would read the whole business plan. We would skim the business plan if it was really long, but we would spend a lot of time with the financial projections. Underwriting is going to spend a lot of time with your financial projections because that is the best demonstration. They want to make a decision based on numbers and data. And if it's a startup business, the best thing they've got is projections. And so key point number 4 is not just to have financial projections, okay? I'm going to scroll through here and explain. So you can see in here, we've got a breakdown of like our startup costs. Here you can see what we're going to spend to open them up. You can also see here purchase during month of operation. So we're outlining that we're going to open up several gas stations in this example over the course of 5 years. We're going to say at the beginning, what have we raised, how much we're looking for a business loan, and we're going to raise additional financing for future stores in year 2 and 3. Okay. Then we have some financial highlights here. So you can see 5 years of high level financial data, revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, net income, EBITDA, some gas station specific assumptions. So we've got how many stores, visitors per store, revenue per store, transactions per day. We've got some key ratios. We've got our monthly operating expenses here. Some of these are specified by per store or overall. So there's some focus there. And then we've got a 5-year pro forma or, forecast projected income statement or profit and loss. We've got the same thing for cash flow, same thing for balance sheet. And then we do have a break even down here. And so quick plug, all of those charts and those projections were generated using this template. This is available for download down in the description of the video below. If you stay to the end of the video, I'll even give you a promo code. It's not a free tool. The business plan is free. The projections are not, however. But I assure you, unless you have a ton of experience on the financial side for doing this, or you have an accountant that's a great friend or something like that, it's going to be really expensive to have these built from scratch. And so buying a template is probably your best bet for reliable financial projections. So as just a quick overview again, you're only editing the blue areas. So this is financial projections is where a lot of times business owners they get really overwhelmed, their eyes kind of glaze over. And this tool makes it pretty easy. You're gonna put in your projected, like when you think you're gonna need to have loans, when you're gonna expand, the different assets. It'll help you calculate how much cash you actually need. You'll be able to calculate here, again, just the blue sections, which stores, where are they opening in years 1 through 5 per store, how many visitors do you plan to have, categories of the things you're going to sell inside, like you're going to have, convenience good items, grocery items, tobacco products, whatever you want to put in here. You'll have your monthly expenses, again, on a per store basis or the whole business. And then if you have any salaried employees, managers, any salaried staff, owner's draws, and then it's going to calculate and generate all of these charts and these financial statements for you that you can grab and put in your business plan, just like I've done in this example here. So key point number 4 is not having financial projections. That's a minimum requirement and has to be included. Key point number 4 is making sure that they're realistic and within, industry norms. So if you have a ton of experience in the oil or the gas industry, then you can probably create projections and then just be able to tell, yeah, these are pretty realistic based upon my experience. If you're not privy to those numbers, if you haven't been before, just create your projections and then use a tool like Google, or depending upon your comfort level or your familiarity, you can even use a tool like ChatGPT or something like that just to get feedback on what average numbers might look like. And so I like to come to this tab and let's look up, some specific things here. We got key ratios and some key data. And so personally, for this example, I just went to ChatGPT and asked it, for a gas station, what's a typical gross profit margin, net income percentage, cost of goods sold as a percent of sales, that kind of stuff. And we see here gross profit margin. So for the fuel, 5 to 20%, convenience store, 25 to 50%. So let's go over and look at our gross profit. We are at 10%, and that's because cost of goods sold. So something to point out here in the gas station, the gas industry, while the revenue numbers are high because you're going to sell a lot of it, there's a control on what you can spend or what you can charge in that spread. And so the margins are going to be really thin. So this looks like a big number, but you got a big cost associated with that. So the gross profit number, while it says it's only 10%, which would be really low in comparison to other industries, there's still $1 million left over from that, right? So and we're not taking out big chunks from that. So at the end of the day, even though we're only 3% profit here, that's still 360 grand, right? So it's a cash heavy business. And so that's just an example of using the internet, free tools to just validate your numbers so that when you hand this to a lender, they don't look at you and say, well, this doesn't make any sense compared to the gas station numbers they've seen before, So that's key point number 4. Make sure your numbers are realistic and within kind of industry norms. Let's go back to our business plan. And that is going to bring us close to the end of the business plan, or pretty much to the end of the business plan. And there's one more component in here that I like to talk about, especially if you're seeking financing for your gas station. And you don't have to write this into your business plan, but it is a thing you should be prepared for. And that's to talk about skin in the game. So I like to skin in the game is let's think about it in the example of if you're buying a home and you need to go to the bank and you ask for you want to buy a $300,000 house. The bank might say, okay, great. We will give you a mortgage for $250,000. And, you have a down payment of $50,000 towards the house. Now, if you default on that mortgage, you're going to lose your down payment, and you're also going to lose the house because the bank holds on, basically lien on that until you pay it off free and clear. A business loan is going to be very similar. You may go to the bank and ask for $100,000 because that's what you need for your startup costs, and the bank says, we'll give you $80,000. We want you to invest the other $20,000. And then they're also going to need some collateral. They're going to need assets to secure the loan. It's uncommon for loans to be made unsecured for a startup. So when I was a lender, oftentimes when I would be talking to a startup or a business owner, they would say that they received the advice that they should keep business and personal separate. And so they don't want anything to do with the personal side on the loan, and they only want it to be to the business. And that's great advice when it comes to bank accounts, bookkeeping, and keeping all those things separate. But when it comes to getting a loan, that's very unrealistic advice. The bank or the lender is going to want, as much assurance as they can that they're going to be made whole at the end of the day. And so that will look like, the assets of the gas station itself, the equipment that you would have there. I should say, I guess I'm not 100% sure in the industry if even maybe the oil inventory can be involved in there as well. But just to basically be prepared and don't be surprised if your lender is, asking you, what are you going to use to secure the loan? If it's insufficient for the business assets, then you might need to be open for personal assets, whether that's a second on your home or something of that nature. So I don't say that again to scare you or to be doom and gloom, but just a reality if you don't have to put that in your business plan, but just be prepared to know what you're willing to offer and not, and being okay with the outcome of that based upon your decision. And so there you have it. That is the overview of the gas station business plan template. You can grab this for free down in the description below to fill it out for yourself. I've also linked the projection templates down there that I showed you. And as promised, let me give you a promo code for it. So if you use PH20BP, you can get a 20% discount on that template and use it for yourself. And I think I might have also pointed out that there is a video guide on how to fill out that template here as well. We offer a market research report to help with this too. I've linked it down in the description below. You don't have to feel obligated to take advantage of that, but like the video if this was helpful for you. And thanks for sticking with us. Don't forget to contact us at support@projectionhub.com if you have any questions at all. Thanks.